Hello, and thank you for tuning into today's video. It has been a while since I've done a flip through of one of the junk journals I've crafted, and the reason for that is that I got so caught up making jewelry that I kind of neglected a bunch of journals that I had started but didn't finish. So this past week I got just super crafty. You know how when you're a creative person, sometimes you go through a bit of a creative dry spell where you just don't feel like making anything. And then other times you go through like a manic creative mode where every moment of every day you're getting ideas and putting them together and you just want to make a bunch of stuff. So I recently went through a junk journaling creative phase. So as you can see here, I made 4 new junk journals, or finished 4 journals. A butterfly themed one. This one has such a fun closure. I took a piece of broken jewelry, tied it to a string, and then made that into a wraparound that can connect to this butterfly. So when the journal is closed, it's really secure. I'm sorry, I hit the camera. I made this one with kind of a mailbag vintage aesthetic to it. Used burlap as a pocket on both the front and the back. And then I made this big beauty. This is one of my personal favorites because it has a frame on the cover with a really fun like DIY aesthetic. This was actually made by my mom. She makes a lot of Kleenex box covers using plastic and yarn, and this was a piece that she made that I don't know what the mistake was, but it had been miscounted or miscut or something, so she was gonna throw it away, and I realized it would be perfect for the cover of a junk journal. I added to that a gemstone dangle and a beautiful piece of a broken necklace from India that has these beautiful faux pearls. I did a whole flip through of this journal that I'll put a link to in the description box. I didn't make it a public video on my channel just because I don't want to overwhelm my subscribers with tons and tons and tons of craft videos when I know a lot of them subscribe to my channel because they're looking for tarot readings or spiritual things or exposés of the cult that I left, so that's kind of a bonus video for those who find the link. But this one I really wanted to share. This one I actually started making this piece just to experiment with different techniques in journal making so that, you know, I could hone my skills and be ready for a really, really big commission. I'm not going to say the name of the person who commissioned it because he wants his journal to be like a complete secret, just his personal journal. But if he's watching this and he knows who he is, this is the journal that I mentioned months ago when he first decided to get a commissioned journal from me, when I said I'm working on a prototype just to get some ideas. But I had so much fun making this. The closure is made out of faux suede, and I attached this gorgeous, gorgeous charm to it. It's actually Metatron's cube, so it's filled with sacred geometrical combinations, and it's a representation of our higher energy, the energy body that can awaken through meditation and spiritual practice and connection with the universe. I just love that as a charm holding the book together. I call this particular junk journal the Magic Circle. I took one of my old bangles from India and glued it down, and then if the lighting was better, these would be sparkling more, but I took out beads of almost every different imaginable type, gemstone type, and glued them around that bangle, and that kind of scatters the crystal energy omnidirectionally kind of everywhere. I had fun using, you know, old metal beads too, just to give it some interest, and a little bit of chain. So yeah, and then the spine is adorned. Pardon the cat hair that stuck to it. I'll clean that up before I ship it to whoever becomes the lucky owner of this piece. But I hand painted all of these gold details, hand painted this border, and then I accented the spine using this trim that is made out of lapis lazuli chips. So this is a very powerful book just when it comes to how many natural gemstones are in it. And I mean, I could spend a whole video talking just about the cover, but I'm not going to bore you with all those details. But yeah, I can name just a few of the stones here. We have tanzanite, green kyanite, lapis lazuli, pink tourmaline, peridot, turquoise, garnet, lilac lepidolite, like tons and tons and tons of gems. And of course the sun and the moon, which symbolize celestial perfection. So opening this baby up, it's already a lot brighter than the cover. I didn't mean for it to be so dark, but that's just how it is. I did a collage for the inner cover here with a nice book plate where you can write your name or the dedication. Say if this is going to be your book of shadows or your grimoire, you can give it a title. If it's just going to be an ordinary junk journal, not that there is such a thing, but like if this is your journaling space, just your name, maybe the date when it started. And then I added some torn music paper that's actually from a vintage music book that I found at a thrift store. I coffee dyed this paper, inked the edges to make it look old and ancient, and just made that into a pull down spot with a little secret hidden sticker that I printed myself of the World tarot card. And that kind of completes the trinity where we have sun, moon, and then the world. Anyhow, I glued some lace to the edge of this page. When you turn it over, again, part of the magic circle theme is this greeting card that I purchased from a First Nations artist. Actually, my mom bought this set and gifted them to me, but it supports the First Nations art community, you know, when you purchase their work. And I couldn't resist adding that into this journal because it's the magic circle. And here we have a circle of spiritual people drumming and calling on the higher energies. I just love how her arms are outstretched and you see these like mandala-like circles in the sky coming down. It's like that magical energy is entering their shamanic drumming. So yeah, lots of symbolism. I have fun with adding mystical and spiritual symbolism into my work. I made a pocket page here and added this sun with zodiac symbols, and then printed out, this is just regular printer paper that has the astrological drawings on it. The signatures in this book all start with pages out of a crystal gemstone information book. This page is actually a pocket page. I added some loose little crystal note sheets that you can write on. Isn't that owl beautiful? This is a tuck spot that I made using a crystal that I printed onto cardstock. I added a couple of oracle cards. These have a special message just for whoever gets this journal, so I'm not going to tell you what these cards say. That's kind of a secret for the owner of the book. This is probably my favorite page. This little leaf charm is dangling over the phases of the moon. This book flips up and it's just made with a bunch of paper scraps that I had. So when you're getting crafty, you start to figure out that like there's no such thing as waste or garbage. Like my mom could have thrown out this thing, but one crafter's scrap is another crafter's treasure. Like you can take a discarded item and make it into something beautiful. So yeah, I took this piece that would have been discarded because my cat had chewed on it. That's what those little punctures are. But then I thought, no way, like it's too beautiful to get rid of. Turned it into this little mini flip book. You can just journal on these pages or tear them out. That cool mushroom stamp sticker actually says Canadian, and so that kind of represents the maker of the book, who is a Canadian. And I made this little flip book into a pocket, so you can stick anything into that pocket. I stuck this journal card that I made by gluing some coffee dyed paper, inking the edges onto the other side of a piece of cardstock, to which I applied some vintage road map and then stuck this directional sticker to. And then this is what I love the most on this page. It looks like a phoenix tail feather or something. It's just a piece of gold lace trim that I cut and glued on to accent that corner. A lot of blank spot that you can use for collaging or journaling. There's a little sticker I printed of the lover's card. More blank pages. I left a lot of pages blank because it is a journal, so you should be able to journal in it. A lot of like fun little elements. These glass bead displays come from a Fire Mountain Gems catalog. This pocket is made out of a gorgeous piece of origami paper that my uncle gave me for Christmas. He gave me a huge stack of these origami papers. And there's another oracle card in here. Once again, a secret message for whoever buys the book. The center of this signature is this lovely kind of garden-themed printable page. And instead of just leaving the strings loose, I added charms in this one. It's got that fun kind of jewelry-inspired feeling. So an Om and a Saturn. These pages are held on by a wax seal with crystals. There's the other side of that catalog page. Lots of blank pages. This is another piece of that origami paper that I folded into a pocket that you can kind of use as a bookmark by sticking it to any corner. Blank paper. I should mention this particular paper is from a book of papers that are all prints of vintage quilts, and my grandma gave me that book. When I started making junk journals, she went through her stash and loaded me up with ribbons and papers and old envelopes and old cards, so I'll have years worth of fun creating with these. I made this little journaling spot just by taking a cutout from one of the catalogs you get at the post office for all the fancy, you know, first day of print stamps available. So I like to use anything I can find for collaging. So I just cut out one of those and glued it onto a white page. So that can be used as a bookmark or a page flag or a journaling spot. This is my favorite part of the whole book. So for me, this is where it's at. This is what makes the book a magical book. You can untie these little ribbons, and there's an accordion book of a printout that I made of a vintage tarot instruction manual. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's so many pages to this. They're a little bit too tiny to read, so I also included a printout of the keys to the tarot. So you've got major arcana and minor arcana, and then the reverse meanings. And then in that same pocket, I added, these are just so cute, the entire 78 card Rider-Waite tarot set. So these are actually usable. Every single card is here. The meaning of every single card is there. You can actually read these, or you can use them for collages or decoration or for fun. I'll show you what they look like. This is a resealable little owl pouch, so you can take them out. So yeah, each card has kind of a star print on the back. I printed just that star prints so that you can't really tell what's right side up or what's upside down if you're going to be actually reading them. But yeah, I thought that was a fun little idea to include in a magical book. So yeah, the back of this accordion book is just blank cardstock, so you can journal on it. You can like write a little message maybe about your readings on the backs of those little cards. That adds a lot of bulk to the book. Like, part of the reason this book is thicker than the spine should handle is that I filled it up with so many extras and so many goodies, and then this little book, as you can see, it added a lot of dimension. But if you're like me, the extras that come in a junk journal are as special as the journaling pages. Anyway, some more torn map page, a couple of botanical stickers stuck into this pocket page that I made. I was experimenting with the sewing machine that my grandma got me for Christmas, so that's any sewn details you see in here are my very first attempts at sewing. I'm still learning. 6 months later, or 7 months later, and I still haven't really mastered the thing, but there's always room to improve. I'm going to flip through more quickly because I don't need to explain every single page. You can kind of see what it is. This is from a 1970s art history textbook that my Auntie Mary Lynn gave me. It's left over from her days in art school, and I didn't feel guilty tearing pages out of it because she had already torn some pages out of it and used. I think she used to have them framed in her place. The center of this signature has an ankh and a pentacle. And my Auntie Lorraine gave me a bunch of stationery stuff too, and I felt like this particular embossed paper, not only is it beautiful and has a great texture to it, but it also just perfectly accentuated the center signature page here. Like, the colors go perfectly. It's a lighter tint of that same dusty rose. This ribbon is part of the ribbon stash my grandma gave me, and obviously it serves as a bookmark, so you can slip it out and just add it to whatever page you want to mark. I stenciled a little seahorse onto this tracing paper. I loved this page of the art history textbook. It's the color wheel, and it reminds me of like a navigational device or an old, telescope. It just looks so cool the way the artist put it together. So since this book is the magic circle, I felt that wheel of color just suited the theme. Made a pocket out of a page from a book about irises. They looked so dark and magical. The colors in the flower petals. Feathers are also such beautiful pieces used in a lot of magical ceremony. This is actually a sticker. So yeah, you can use it as a bookmark, or you can peel off the backing and actually stick it to something. More of that. I like adding these laces too, as you probably noticed. Next signature. Love that moon phase paper. Coffee dyed paper. I coffee dyed the paper doily at the center of this signature. This time I left the strings loose so you can add your own charms, or you can trim it down, kind of do with it as you please. And I just couldn't resist, whoops, it's crumbling a bit, couldn't resist including the edge of this coffee dyed paper because it turned out so crispy and saturated. It's just ordinary paper that I coffee dyed, but the coffee pooled at the end of the pan it was sitting in, so that's why one end got darker than the rest. And I like that. Adds visual interest. So here's an old embossed thank you card. I felt like this would be a nice extra to include in the book because one of my favorite prompts for journaling is to make a gratitude list. And so this can be used for journaling your gratitude list, or you can take it out and send it to somebody you want to thank for something. Music paper, blank spots to journal, more of that stone information. This page is actually paint swatches. When I was making a painting, I always keep paper handy to wipe the brush onto for use in junk journaling. That way none of the paint gets wasted. And here is a sticker showing Metatron's cube. So that's like a line art version of the same symbol that's on the closure tie. Crystal paper, more of that moon phase paper. This is a printable from Release the Craftin. She did a whole set of magical Egypt themed prints. I like including some different sized torn pages again to give it that different texture. Tracing paper, dot grid paper, more art history text. Again, the magic circle, it has that cool spiral. This piece of art reminded me of a whirlpool or a cyclone seen from above. It has such a dynamic energy. There's where the bookmark wound up. This centerfold is actually vintage French ephemera. I like to put some in each book. It's a 1946 French magazine cover that has some cool old French ads on it. More art history text, more dot grid. I like the way all the papers look layered when there's different sizes of paper. So that's why I like to kind of include these. It's fun. There's the other side of that printable. I just love the hieroglyphs and the scarab and the owl. It's all so magical. Chakra gem sticker. Fluorite crystals on that lined paper. More of my coffee dyed paint swatches. And I couldn't resist. This little wizard was in with a bunch of the craft stuff my Aunt Lorraine gave me. And the colors like the blue with the blue paper, the purple with the purple ribbon. It's a little kiddish, but it also seemed like so much fun. We can't take our stuff too seriously. So there's a little kid sticker in here. I missed. At the center of this signature, I added a key charm. Keys are also really symbolic mystically, like the key to unlocking the secrets of the world. This is a fun one too. I took another astrology sticker, stuck it onto this paper that I had distressed myself just by crumbling it and then adding distress ink with a sponge. And it folds down to give you the keys, speaking of keys, to astrology. So it's just a little write-up about what astrology is. But this makes a good journaling spot too. You can journal on here. Here's an origami envelope I folded. I love that paper. I made a little collage on this page using a vintage stamp. It's such a cool, like old castle building. Art forms in nature, prints, just some torn papers. And then on the other side, there's a sample of one of my favorite wrapping papers ever. I wrapped Christmas gifts to my family in this paper this past year, and I love that space underwater magic theme to it. You've got everything from like an octopus and a planet and the moon and stars, and then symbols for the atom. That was so cool. Little layers of paper, a little pocket with a whale, kind of matchy-matchy. This can be used as a bookmark, or you can journal on the back of it or glue it to something. The center of this last signature has a star and a pentacle. Pentacles, for those who don't know, I mean, if you're watching my channel, you probably already know, it's not a symbol of evil, it's actually a symbol of the elements, earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. And when it's put into that magic circle, it represents being in harmony and in balance with nature without losing connection to your higher spirit. So it's a very sacred symbol. More of that catalog paper, coffee dyed paper, a printed sticker I made of rainbow fluorite. And then this brings us to the end of the book, one of my favorite ribbons, saved for last. And I only glued it on the ends and the edge so you can actually tuck something into there, sort of like a little pocket. I like making interactive elements to these. Yeah, and then the very last page has another card from a First Nations artist. Made a little tuck spot out of this printed out gem, and that's where I stuck my business card. Yeah, and then in this pocket I put a little secret goodies for whoever buys the book. No, I'll tell you what they are. A piece of moldavite, the most magical stone of transformation. I felt like whoever gets this journal will be in a moldavite mood. Moldavite, it's a very powerful crystal, so that's why you need to know what's going to be included with the book. It catalyzes transformation in such a way as anything not serving your highest good in life will kind of drop away and make room or get replaced by something more in line with what's best. So that's a genuine piece of moldavite, a moldavite cutout that you can use either glued to something or for journaling. And I also included a cutout of this gorgeous rubellite tourmaline and 3 tarot card stickers. These are stickers that I printed myself. The Rider-Waite Tarot, it's so old now that it's public domain, so anybody can print out and use the images, which is why, even though I read with different decks in my journals, you'll see a lot of the traditional Rider-Waite imagery. So the sun, the moon, and the star, that celestial trinity once again. And of course you can take these out. You don't have to leave them in the journal. You can put anything into this pocket. But there we have it. That is a flip through of my newest creation, the Magic Circle Junk Journal. Thank you for watching. This was a different kind of video for my channel, so don't worry, you'll have the more typical kind of content, including more interviews with cult survivors and tarot card reading demonstrations and draw with me videos. I'll be making more of those too. I just couldn't resist showing off my favorite new creation. Much love. We'll see you next time. Bye. Oh yeah, and get crafty. I hope you feel inspired to maybe get out some craft supplies and make something.